beautiful. Our heroes proved.
Roshini Rajkumar back with you on Real Talk with Roshini this Independence Day weekend. And what could be more American than baseball? And baseball's definitely been on hold for a while, but no more. We're going to get into that with Marney Gellner. She is a sportscaster with Fox Sports North. You hear her, you see her covering the Twins, the Minnesota Lynx, the Timberwolves. Marney, thanks for joining us.
Hear from you. It's good to chat with you. Thanks for having me on. How was your fourth?
The fourth was great. Got out there even in the heat, but really was happy that you were able to join me today because this is a big time for baseball.
Yes, it is. We were supposed to, hopefully, even start the season. That was the initial talk when we kind of got the momentum that we could start sports again, and we thought, hey, baseball, 4th of July weekend, let's get it going. And then negotiations happened and arguments happened and a lot of time passed by, and here we are, 4th of July, no baseball games, but at least we have camps and where the ball is still rolling, and hopefully in 3 weeks we will see baseball.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So what we understand, it's a 60-game season starting around, what is it, the 23rd, 24th of July.
Exactly.
What will this 60-game season look like? What's the pacing? Do you have any information?
Well, it's going to be like nothing we've seen before. And the beauty of baseball is that it's this marathon, and it's an everyday kind of grind. And guys can go through slumps at the plate, or a pitcher can have a handful of bad starts in a row, and you just sort of ride those waves, and then you buckle down in the final month or so of the season, and then the pace picks up. But this will be, this is fewer than half of that, and this will be a sprint. And we've never seen that before, and every game will have such more connected to it. Meaning a hitter goes in a slump, or a pitcher has a couple of bad performances in a row, and time gets away from you real quick in a 60-game season. So I think it's just going to be fascinating to watch managers kind of play with that strategy, and teams playing like every game means a lot, because it does, and that is not typically how a baseball season works. So it'll be like nothing we've seen before, and I have my fingers crossed that we're going to actually get there. Everybody's going to stay safe and healthy enough for us to have this season and watch it unfold, because I just think it's going to be absolute pure entertainment.
Marney Gellner, that's another thing. Staying healthy is key. How will team management deal with the fact that they're constantly testing for COVID-19, and if players have to get taken out of the roster, which, we've seen some people who have it on our team, have you heard anything about their game plan there?
Well, the players, anyone who tests positive, and they are testing basically like every other day, anyone who has positive tests will be quarantined away from the team and need to pass 2 consecutive tests. Like 2 tests have to be negative in a row in order for you to rejoin the team. And so right now the Twins have 2 players on the minor league or the major league roster, like 2 that we're familiar with, Miguel Sano and La Tortuga, everybody's favorite, Willis Astudillo. They are the positives so far, because the team just got to town within the last handful of days. Testing started on Friday, and those 2 tested positive. Neither has symptoms, but they are just away from the team in town, but separated. And then they have to have 2 consecutive negative tests in order to rejoin the team. And that will be the protocol. It's not how do you feel. It's not anything other than the science of the test, and that is baseball across the board. And what is going to be really fascinating is a team that suddenly has a cluster, even 3 guys, let's say 3 players, and they don't all have to be the same day. Maybe they're within the same 7-day, 8-day window, and they're 3 of your prominent players. Like your your best hitters and your best fielder or something all at once, and they all miss a good 2 weeks. Like, what does that do? That decimates a team in a 60-game season, and it just affects a season like injuries would, but in such a ramped up, amplified way. So that it's kind of unfair. It's, how guys are catching this virus. There's really no rhyme or reason to it a lot of times, just exposure, and
Right.
there you have it. So for right now, it's 2 players for the Twins, and I guess they'll have 3 weeks to kind of figure out a rhythm to this, and hopefully by the time the season starts, they'll be this is just a normal part of the season now, I guess. That's
Yeah, I mean, it's like a combination of a Jenga, Monopoly, and Battleship game combined. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk basketball. All right, so we've got the visual on the Twins and on baseball. What can you tell us about the Lynx? What can you tell us about basketball and what we're going to see this summer?
It will be a lot of the same look because the Timberwolves are, for all intents and purposes, done. They may get to be part of a secondary sort of tournament, but that's wishful thinking, I think. Whether something flushes out with that, not sure, but it definitely will not be part of the NBA playoffs, the 22 teams that are going to Disney World in that bubble. And the WNBA is about, I think it's like an hour away. They're at the IMG Academy, which is this like training school. It looks like a college campus for the elite high school athletes of the world. They just have like tennis courts for miles and, that kind of facility. And so the WNBA is going to play there on the number of courts. And the same thing, like when a player tests positive, that player is going to be taken sort of off that campus and into this designated COVID hotel to sort of, to do the quarantine. And the same thing, have to pass 2 negative tests before you can rejoin your team. And those teams, like those leagues, the NBA and the WNBA, are operating in a bubble, meaning that not changing hotels, only going to the same arenas, whereas in baseball, they are traveling. They are getting on airplanes and going to hotels in different cities and sort of strategizing, like the Twins are only playing in the central part of the country, playing the American League Central Division and the National League Central Division. No trips to California or New York or Florida, those kinds of places. But in the WNBA and the NBA, they are in bubbles. And so you talk about another fascinating just study of human behavior and science and athletics. And I mean, it's just layers upon layers of things that are so intriguing. But yeah,
very
same
intriguing.
kind of protocol though with that.
Yeah, we are talking with Fox Sports North sportscaster Marney Gellner. My final question, Marney, is what about you? What about you and the rest of the sports broadcasters and reporters?
What about me? I'm glad you asked, Roshini. Yes. Let's get to the good.
Where will you be? I mean, where will you be? How will you be covering this? And that is a fascinating story within the story.
I agree, because we've never operated like this ever. I have not worked in almost 4 months because there has not been a game since Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz tested positive for COVID-19 on March 11th.
Wow.
The NBA shut down that night. The next day it was the NHL and NASCAR and golf and everyone else. And now we're slowly starting to come out of that. But typically I spend a lot of time on airplanes and hotel rooms, and I travel with the Timberwolves all season long, and then I travel somewhat with the Twins throughout the summer. I kind of pick and choose a schedule that has me do more home games conveniently. But I will not be traveling. Our main play-by-play, Dick Bramer, and our analysts like Justin Morneau and Bert Blylev and Roy Smalley, they will not be traveling. We will do home games from Target Field with the team there playing in front of us with no fans. And then when the Twins go on the road, let's say they go to Cleveland, we will broadcast the game from somewhere, maybe Target Field again, like just looking at monitors, having more monitors than the viewing audience at home, but from an empty stadium. And so you at home, when you're watching a Twins game and they're on the road, your announcers and broadcasters will not be there and not sort of, within and listening to the sights and sounds and giving you all these side stories. It'll be like, hey, cricket's here at Target Field, but you'll hear the game and see it. But it's just, we've never done anything like this before. And that's how all of baseball is going to be doing it.
Wow.
Thank you for asking.
Well, you will have to come back and tell us how that experience is once it gets going, because that is just fascinating to me. And it's really going to, you're a very strong sportscaster, but I can imagine this will be a challenge, but it's really going to bring out your love for the game and all the knowledge base that you have going into these games, Marney.
It is, and it's going to bring out a lot of people's talents, because people are going to have to get creative, because there's just so much in front of you when you're watching a ball game and you're broadcasting it, and it's right in front of you, and you've got the fans over here, and you can hear the concession guy, and you're just dropped in the middle of this environment. And to be totally removed and in a static, to even build up your energy and your voice when you're broadcasting the game, when you feel like you could be taking a nap because there's nothing around you, is going to be a little bit of a challenge. But as professionals, we feel like we're going to be able to pass that test. And the goal would be that you at home forget that, oh, shoot, that's right, they're at an empty Target Field or in an empty studio. If we can make you forget that part, then we're doing our jobs.
Well, I promise that if you ever sound a little drowsy, I'll just send you a wake you up text to kind of get you back into things. You do that. That's perfect. I know. She is Marney Gellner. You can watch her on Fox Sports North. Of course, listen to her here. She joins this show every once in a while. We're always happy to have her. And if you really want to have some fun and learn some of the behind the scenes of Marney Gellner, check out her episode from season 1 of Real Leaders with Roshini. She was one of my featured episodes of that podcast. Marney, good luck to you. We will be watching, and I'm just excited that you can get back at it.
Thank you so much, Roshini. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.